Hey guys, I'm here at Wind Up Watch Fair, and I thought what better place to talk about a couple of Speedies that were born out of the community than here surrounded by watch nerds. Hey guys, I'm Max and this is Watch Crunch. WatchCrunch.com is all about fostering the great community that we've built around this common hobby of ours. From get-togethers to giveaways, we're always looking for ways to connect watch nerds with one another, so come join us. So Wind Up Watch Fair was a lot of fun. I had a great time meeting some of you guys, some of the people behind my favorite micro brands, and I even picked up this Mondain wall clock for the office. But today I want to talk to you about the Speedy Tuesday watches because through a couple of trades, I finally got my hands on the grail Speedmaster of mine, which is the ST1. And I have a friend who let me borrow his ST2. So let's get these two together and talk about why they're so special and why I think Omega needs to keep this tradition alive. These days, it seems almost anyone can make a technically good watch, price it fairly, and it will sell. But few manufacturers can quite capture our imagination like the NASA space program and turn mere admirers into fanatics. Panerai has the Paneristi, Rolex has their diehard fanboys, and Omega has Speedy Tuesday. The moniker was coined by the fellas at Fratello Watches back in 2012, and the hashtag caught on like wildfire. It meant that if you owned a Speedmaster, that watch was just a little bit more special on the second workday of the week, and putting it on gave you a connection with others in the Speedy Tuesday club. In 2017, Omega issued the first Speedy Tuesday commemorative watch in the ST1, and it was a banger right out of the gate. You always know an enthusiast edition by the paraphernalia in the box, and in this case, we get a supple leather pouch housing the watch with both leather and NATO straps, as well as a watch tool. And I actually have this watch fitted on an older Speedmaster bracelet for my summer trip. The reverse Panda dial has a striking triple register finished in bright silver. Look a little closer and you'll notice a couple of Easter eggs hidden by Omega. First, this is what's called a radial dial, with more numerals surrounding the subdials for easier reading. Now, radial dial watches were first issued to NASA in 1979 for the Space Shuttle crew, and internally at Omega, this project was dubbed the Alaska Project. These subdials are also loomed, so when the light goes off, they glow like green targets. The baton hands are brushed silver to match, and we have a classic arrow-tipped second hand. There's an applied Omega logo sitting behind that highly domed Hesalite crystal that contorts light off-axis. This case is what we're all familiar with as the Speedmaster Professional, but in this case it's all brushed as a nod to the Alaska Project watches, giving this a more rugged feel. On the case back, we have the Omega Hippocampus in the center with engravings that denote both Speedy Tuesday watches as limited to 2012 pieces, 2012 being the year that this hashtag was created. On the wrist, it wears like a Speedy Pro, which is to say that the 42mm case actually feels more like a 40, as 2 of those millimeters are attributed to the asymmetrical crown guard that protrudes onto the right side. Historically, this was thought to also be a request from NASA astronauts to protect those pushers. Now guys, before we get to the ST2, we just hit 30,000 subs, so thank you for keeping us going. Please, if you haven't, subscribe, and also don't forget to drop a like for this video. Thank you. So 1 year after the success of Speedy Tuesday 1 tribute to the Alaska Project, Omega gave us an encore in the ST2 Ultraman. This time fans were prepared and they were sold out instantly. The Ultraman was actually not a new Speedmaster. The name actually came from a famous 1968 watch that Omega released with a striking orange chrono hand. That watch was famously worn on the Japanese TV series Ultraman, and the nickname just stuck. Now, Ultraman the show followed the mission of a team of monster fighters that protected Earth from extraterrestrials. Officer Hayata's special ability was that he was able to turn into Ultraman by activating what's called the beta capsule. But the catch is, he could only do this for 3 minutes at a time before his powers ran out. So the ST2 watch was also known as the Ultraman Mark II, and thus it had many callbacks to its vintage sibling. First, we get a step dial, where the minute track is slightly recessed, giving extra dimension. The dot is over the 90 numeral on the tachymeter scale, and we get some additional orange accents elsewhere on the dial and bezel. Lastly, the lume is finished in a faux patina. And this watch also came on both leather and NATO straps and was stored in a big, heavy hexagonal box that looked straight out of a retro comic book series. The movements found in these watches are the tried and true caliber 1861. This Lemania-derived manually wound chronograph movement, though not quite as advanced as the new 3861 coaxials, as it lacks hacking and METAS certification, is no slouch and has been NASA certified for spaceflight since the mid-90s. It is cam operated and has 48 hours of power reserve. On the wrist, from afar, it looks like any other black Speedmaster, but get a little closer and the initiated will notice all of the colorful details that set the Ultraman apart. Whereas the ST1 had more of a serious professional vibe, the ST2 took on a decidedly more playful tone, appealing to the kid in all of us. Now, most of us are familiar with the dimensions of the Speedy Pro, but I'll go ahead and throw the numbers up for a second. Now, just remember that this is actually a 40mm watch and that the 2mm crown guard does not contribute much to the size on the wrist. So I think what makes the Speedy Tuesday edition so near and dear to my heart is that it was obvious that Omega went out of their way to fill these watches in and out with hidden features and Easter eggs, and that these weren't just a quick cash grab. From different strap options to interesting dial elements to distinct packaging, they really worked with watch enthusiasts to make these Speedmasters fun without losing their historical significance. Now, these watches, due to their limited nature, have appreciated quite a bit in price, but they still represent some of the best, most interesting special editions from Omega, in my opinion. So recently, someone made a post on WatchCrunch.com asking if we get watch burnout. Like, do you get tired of looking at watches all day? Sometimes this is true, but being at Wind Up Watch Fair, geeking out with you guys, I'm reminded of my favorite part of this hobby, which is the human connection and the friends that we make along the way. And that's what keeps me from burning out, handling dozens of watches a year. Now that COVID is winding down and we're seeing each other face to face again, I think it's high time that we brought back the Speedy Tuesday watch. So come on, Omega, get on it. Or, you know what, hit me up, I've got some ideas. Let's remind people again why every collection needs a Speedmaster. As always, stay crunchy. I'll see you in the next one.